Dear Chief, if you get this message, let me begin by saying you were right and the rest of us weren't paying close enough attention. You quietly warned us at last year's Air Warfare Symposium in Orlando that the drop in the price of oil and gas, the Greek vote repudiating sanctions and belt-tightening, and the Russian leaders' political and military ambitions made for a very unstable and unpredictable Europe and an even more volatile Middle East. You saw things as they were. We saw things as we wanted them to be. It all unraveled so quickly. The Russian occupation of Estonia took place over 2 days using heavily armed, uniformed, but insignia-less Special Forces troops. Masquerading as Estonian patriots, they captured the entire German Eurofighter detachment, including fighter and support aircraft, at Amari Air Base, Estonia, whose mission it was to patrol the Baltic. I am told there are hundreds of POWs and some KIAs, but have no independent confirmation on exact numbers yet. This debacle occurred while Sakyr and the rest of NATO were trying to cope with the expansion of the shooting war in the Ukraine. Kiev fell as NATO debated who was responsible for this latest escalation and what to do about the plight of the German Eurofighters and crews imprisoned by these Estonian patriots. Greece added to the mix by insisting no additional sanctions be imposed on Russia until it could be proven beyond reasonable doubt that Russia was at the heart of those actions. It wasn't until early last week when 2 Dutch F-16s flying out of Malbork Air Base in Poland were shot down by a flight of 4 Su-27s escorting 2 Blackjack bombers over the Baltic that NATO awakened to the threat. Of course, Russia claimed the entire incident was a matter of self-defense and that the Blackjacks and their escorts were over international waters and had been repeatedly threatened by the Dutch Vipers. Sakyr asked me to send in additional U.S. fighters, and I did. Thanks to General Brad Smith of ACC and you, sir, I was able to bring in 4 Raptors from Langley to ensure air dominance over that part of the Baltic should we be challenged again. It worked, for a while. As forces flowed into Europe for the TIPFID, Russia objected to what it referred to as NATO preparations for the invasion of the homeland and threatened to attack. We didn't think they would. We were wrong. When the missiles impacted the Ramstein AOC, I was there, along with 873 others. 500 more people were in the Allied Command Center next door. Russian aircraft hit us 50 minutes later. We lost half our planning staff and virtually all of the equipment that was above ground. The Allied Command Center is still operating, but our above ground and soft-skinned AOC has been obliterated. What were we thinking? I'm sending you this message from a place called Borfink, where we are reconstituting what is left of the AOC. You would be proud of how our airmen adapted rapidly to this new wartime reality and made this difficult move to Borfink. The place is a relic of the Cold War, but unless they start launching nukes, we should be able to operate successfully from here. Chief, what I need from you and the stateside forces is acknowledgement that reinforcements are on the way. I have to believe the 18th Air Force TACC in St. Louis and perhaps other critical control nodes, including yours, are under cyber attack because, despite the TACC's best efforts, we haven't been able to establish connectivity long enough to plan and move things as we must to fight and win. I've got unprotected C-17s and C-5s on the ground here in Europe with their crews ready and eager to go. But the question is, go where? Do what? Bottom line, I'm being forced to plan and fight with sporadic C2 connectivity up and down the chain. Word just came in confirming final preparations for multiple missile launches from the Middle East. They could hit us in less than an hour. Fight's on.
General Goring, here's the Chief's reply to you. Chance, nice spoof. I think the Russians actually fell for your disrupted comms military deception message. I know those first few post-attack hours were tough, but our HAIL, high-altitude long-endurance platforms, went airborne just as planned, as soon as we saw the first indications of hybrid warfare attacks. Our joint aerial layer could certainly be more robust, but from all indications, it appears to have reestablished critical comms across all of the distributed control facilities. I know the reduced pipe size impacts you, but we will fix that as we establish more mobile airborne hubs and more mobile maritime hubs to support the damaged cyber-attacked facilities. Our new airborne C2 platforms are coming your way. Should be there within 24 hours and ready to go airborne at your demand after they are refueled. The classified distributed control exercises that you conducted last summer sure paid off. From our view, you have all of your distributed ops centers contributing just as you planned. Lake and Heath reports that they are full up and have your back in the UCOM theater, plus the split ops supported tasks are being fully staffed and managed from Langley, Scott, and other DCGS Air Force bases around the globe. The robusted cryptology we've put into our remote split ops RPAs is working. We haven't lost any caps yet. Don't worry, we're flying 5 to 10 orbits a day from airborne platforms just to ensure the airborne team has the right level of interface 4 levels of functionality over those systems, should the Russians try to steal any of them. I think our scrub of the Joint Mission Essential Task List and the Universal Joint Task List listings has all paid off. Our first battlefield test of centralized command, distributed control, and decentralized execution appears to be maintaining the proper balance between manpower efficiency support through split distributed ops as well as wartime effectiveness, which can only be accomplished with some UGITL tasks done from the forward location, because trust does require personal presence. Nice job on laying out the proper linkages between your commander's intent and your Joint Air Operations Plan and this laydown that achieved this distributed ops. Finally, I think our decade in Afghanistan and Iraq taught us some superb lessons of how to effectively manage distributed control through the ACE structure, where an exquisitely shaped forward staff can move mountains, even when the bulk of their support is coming from distributed and split locations. I'm ready to move out on any shifts in this initial laydown that you need in order to support the changing conditions on the battlefield which only you can assess. I'll trade positions with you anytime. Fly, fight, and win. Chief.